So we're diving into what looks like a simple plan, right? Just redeveloping an old gas station in Walton County, Florida. But tucked away inside the engineering report is this one little sentence, a claim that could have massive consequences for one of the state's most important bays. And there it is, right from the official report. The whole argument is basically, hey, we're paving a little bit less than what was here before, so we don't need to treat our stormwater. Not at all. But I mean, does that actually make any sense?
Can it really be that simple? You just shrink the parking lot by a few feet and you get a total free pass on cleaning up runoff? Especially from a gas station of all places, when all that runoff is heading straight for a fragile ecosystem? Yeah, we knew we had to investigate this one.
All right, so to get to the bottom of this, our investigation has to start with the most basic question there is. Where does all this water actually go?
Okay, before we go any further, you gotta understand this term, impaired waters. This isn't just a casual description, it's a formal legal designation. It means a bay or river or lake is already so polluted that it officially fails to meet water quality standards. You can't safely fish there, you can't swim there, it's a big deal. So the runoff from this gas station, it flows right into Choctawhatchee Bay. And the bay, well, it's already on that impaired list. The documents are clear. It's got major problems with nutrient pollution, which is just fuel for nasty algal blooms that are killing off the seagrass, a vital habitat for marine life. And because the bay is officially impaired, this special and very strict rule kicks in. It's called net improvement, and it means exactly what it sounds like. The project can't just keep things the same. It is legally required to make the water quality better than it was before the project ever started. Now for the second part of our investigation, the rules themselves. What does the law actually say? Does it allow for a zero treatment plan in a situation like this? Okay, this timeline is absolutely critical. In 2024, Florida put some of the toughest stormwater rules in the entire country into effect. Now, they gave developers a 1-year grace period to get their plans in under the old, much weaker rules. That window closed on June 28, 2025. This project's report is dated September 2025, which puts it squarely under the new, much, much tougher regulations. There's no ambiguity here. So what do these new rules demand? Well, they're not messing around. The law requires an 80% reduction in the key pollutants, total nitrogen and total phosphorus. And you can't just say you're going to do it, you have to prove it with detailed scientific modeling. The bottom line here is just crystal clear. Under these new rules, zero treatment is not a legally acceptable option, period. Now, for the third and final piece of our investigation, and it's a big one. We have to look at the nature of the business itself. Because, let's be honest, this isn't a flower shop or a quiet little bookstore. Regulators have a special name for places like gas stations. They call them hotspots, and for good reason. Their runoff is a known toxic cocktail of petroleum from gas spills, heavy metals from brake dust, and nasty chemicals known as BTEX, which includes benzene, a known carcinogen. This is the stuff we're talking about washing into the bay. And hey, if you want a really vivid, real-world picture of the pollution at this specific site, look no further than this note from the actual property survey. When the surveyor tried to measure the existing storm drains, he wrote, in all caps, "unable to get inverts filled with grease." That tells you everything you need to know about what's been washing off this property for a very, very long time. And there's another layer here at the local level. Walton County has its own federal permit to prevent stormwater pollution. But here's the catch. The county's plan explicitly relies on the state to do the enforcement for new developments. So if the state signs off on a project with zero treatment, it completely pulls the rug out from under the county and torpedoes their ability to meet their own federal obligations. So we've looked at the location, we've looked at the new rules, and we've looked at the land use. Let's bring all the evidence together now and see how this zero treatment proposal actually stacks up against reality. And this right here, this is the fundamental flaw in the entire argument. The engineer's claim is all about reducing the quantity of water, the volume of runoff, by making the paved area a tiny bit smaller. But the law, the regulation, is all about improving the quality of that water. It demands you remove 80% of the pollution. I mean, think about it. A slightly smaller bucket of toxic water is still a bucket of toxic water. Let's get really specific with a compliance scorecard. First step, nutrients. The rule requires an 80% reduction in total nitrogen.
This project, it proposes 0%. The rule requires an 80% reduction in total phosphorus. The project, 0%. And because it discharges to an impaired bay, it must provide net improvement. It provides none. That's a big strike 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, next, let's look at the actual technology. The industry standard for any gas station is an oil/water separator. This project proposes none. State law requires treatment systems, what they call BMPs. This project has 0. A spill prevention plan is required. It's not even mentioned. That's 3 more complete failures to comply.
And finally, how about the basic analytical homework required by law? Were the pollutant loading calculations provided to show that 80% reduction? Nope. Were the necessary calculations for even sizing a treatment system there? No. Was a long-term plan for how to operate and maintain the system submitted? Also no. It's a clean sweep of non-compliance.
So when you add it all up, when you score this project on how it meets the clear, black and white requirements of state, federal, and local regulations, the score is exactly this: a big, fat 0.
This isn't just about one gas station on one street corner. The real question this whole situation raises is much, much bigger. What happens if a plan like this actually gets a stamp of approval? What kind of precedent does that set for everyone else? Think about it. If this plan gets approved, it sends a dangerous signal that any developer can sidestep millions of dollars in required water quality treatment just by making their parking lot a tiny fraction smaller. It would gut Florida's brand new rules before they even have a chance to work. The message it sends is loud and clear. Polluting is okay as long as you promise to do it just a tiny bit less than the last guy. And that all leaves us with one final, unavoidable question. If these tough, new environmental protection rules don't apply in this situation, at a high-pollutant gas station, discharging right next to an officially impaired bay with a documented history of unchecked pollution, then where exactly do they apply?